Welcome to Hot Takes with Paulie Calafiore. Ladies and gentlemen, this is the podcast you want to listen to if you want to expand your horizons. I'm going to be giving my hot takes. I'll be talking about pop culture, political, current events. Everything and anything is on the table. And I wanted to have a place where everybody could come to listen to, start to switch on your critical thinking when it comes to the world, when it comes to what we're being fed, when it comes to what you see on the news, what you see on the internet, because there's a lot going on and it's hard to navigate. But with an expert like myself, I can help you navigate. And together we can start to wake up as a unified group and start actually doing the things that matter when it comes to creating change and just having a better community, a better town, a better city, a better state, a better country, a better world, if you will. So I'm your host, Paulie Calafiore, and this is Hot Takes. Hot take of the day, ladies and gentlemen, in my opinion, there are two groups that need to sit down right now. And I'm gonna break them up into two groups. This is gonna cause some sadness. This is going to cause some reactions, and that's honestly what we want. If you're feeling something about this, I want you to take a little bit of time to self-reflect. I want you to look in the mirror. I want you to be like, why is what this guy's saying either making sense, not making sense? Why is it? And the two groups, in my opinion, that need to sit down, one, the extreme left needs to take several seats, and the second is I would categorize them as like the far right, but I would say mostly like you know who I'm talking about. It's the people who use religion for everything, right? So it's just, a perfect example of this is kind of like the Erica Kirk situation, is nobody who's just all in on God wants anybody to question Erica Kirk at all. They're just like, you know what? She said Jesus. She said the word Jesus. She's saying God in everything she's saying, and how dare you question somebody whose husband was just murdered, even though she's acting in a fashion that is very erratic when it comes to that. And then, let's talk about the extreme left. We're talking about people who still to this day, even though all the information about COVID has come out, everybody sees what the data and the analytics were. Nobody is apologizing or saying the wrong. And I think we need to identify and address these two groups specifically, because these two groups are what's keeping us all common sense folk from coming together in the middle. See, most of us, we agree on most things. We have common sense. We could actually have a debate. We can talk about things. We can bring ideas to the table. We can open our minds up to the possibility of other realms. But these two groups of people specifically, they are doubled down so hard on their ideology that they have lost any sense of self. They have lost any critical thinking. And I just want us all to agree on this one thing. Were you guys wrong about COVID? Were you guys wrong about how you handled and treated COVID when you were telling people that they were grandma killers and grandpa killers? When you were sitting there questioning, asking yourself, what do we do with the unvaccinated people? That kind of language and that kind of talking was just a little bit wild for me. See, I come from more of a background where if somebody's trying to tell me to do something, or if somebody's trying to get me to do something out of fear, I immediately question why they are trying to fear monger. And it just seems like there was a large population of people who just bought hook, line, and sinker, not even the science of it all, but the fear mongering of it all. And those people to this day have not once sat there. You want to know what would make your argument a lot better if you're coming from the left side of things? If you just started off with, hey, I may have overreacted. I may have been wrong about the COVID situation for this reason, this reason, and this reason. However, I feel strongly about this current situation because of XYZ. See, that would go a long way, but nobody from that far left group seems to want to do it. Now, I see a lot of Democrats that are doing that. You're starting to see the Bill Maher's, you're starting to see the Stephen A. Smiths. They're kind of starting to create this more close to central Democratic Party in opinion, because you can't keep gaslighting us on that side of things. And now let's talk about, the far right, if you will call them, these religious people. The people who will use the Bible in order to, tell you that you're a terrible person, when one of the first things that's being taught is to not judge. Don't judge thy neighbor, right? Do not judge. First, get your house in order, get yourself in order, and then you try and help the community. And I think we're seeing this the best in the Charlie Kirk, Erica Kirk situation, because there are people that refuse to want to admit that that situation is just weird. It's strange. What grieving widow, after her husband loses her life, goes and does the theatrics that Erica Kirk has done? And yet you have people who are just so deep-rooted in their faith that are like, how dare you question a grieving widow? When most people, listen, murder documentaries and crime podcasts are like the number one podcasts and number one documentaries that are just out there. And 90% of the time, it's usually the spouse that has something to do with it. You're telling me that in the Erica Kirk situation, someone like Candace Owens has more skin in the game to find out what's happening and what has happened to Charlie Kirk than his own wife, his own mother of his kids. We have to take a step back as a society. We have to take a step back as a community, and we have to start asking ourselves the questions. If the ultimate goal of what's out there on the left and on the right is to control the masses, how would they do it? Right? We are a tax slave society at this point. Most of us are taxed exponential amounts. Most of us have to work whether we want to or not. And the American dream has become harder and harder to get. Now, I'm not speaking for myself. I've been very blessed. I am very blessed. I do very well for myself. I don't need to be speaking about these topics because they don't really directly affect me, but I do want to see my community, this country that I love, actually win and actually succeed the way it was always meant to. And I kind of feel like we're right at a point in time where we need to stop arguing with each other, and we need to start getting back to our roots as Americans. And that goes for all Americans that are here legally, right? My family came here from Italy. My family migrated here from Sicily, right? They went through the whole process. They are legal citizens. I am a legal American citizen. And I feel as though there are plenty of people who come to this country and they want to do it the right way, and they do it the right way, and they have our American core values. And we are a melting pot of a lot of different cultures, a lot of different religions, a lot of different ways of thinking, and that's what makes America America. And we need to get away from these two groups who essentially try and shame everybody into their viewpoints, because their viewpoints are so radical that when questioned, they actually have no valid arguments for why they think the way that they do. They just start to shame you, they just start to name call you, they just start to try and cancel you, and we need to get away from that. Open discourse, open dialogue needs to be the way forward. Otherwise, we're gonna find ourselves in a very, very interesting situation, and it can be avoided. And I think it starts with us, and I think it starts with you listening to me, because I can show you the way. And these are my hot takes for episode 1. Let me know what you think. Let me know your thoughts on my hot takes. I would like to reiterate what they are. I believe that we need to tell the extreme left and the extreme right to shut up, sit down, and let the adults take charge of this country again, because right now it's almost like the kids are fighting constantly and they need to go on timeout. And now it's time to put them on timeout. You cannot sit here and tell me that if you want to lecture anybody on how they should be thinking, on what they should be doing, if you can't just admit these two very basic things, and I'm challenging both sides to be able to do this. If you're on the far left and you cannot sit here and say that you overreacted during the COVID situation, and you also kind of overreacted when people were trying to say that Joe Biden was a vegetable, which he was. And then once again, let's talk about the far right here. All right, if you think that just because people have found God or are people of Christ that they can never do any wrongdoing, then you are opening yourself up for a very easy way for bad people to infiltrate what the faith actually means, and you are allowing them to do very bad things while lying under the guise of being a holy person. So those are my hot takes. Make sure you like, subscribe, share the show. If you like it, great. If you don't like it, also great. I want to know. So let me know in the comments, share the show, and I'll see you soon for another hot take.